Hey sinners, how you doing? I'm Sean.
I'm Shannon.
And this, believe it or not, is our first bonus content episode. Turns out that Shannon and I did a little episode on Leprechaun, and we figured, let's release it with our Jaws 2. This way, once you're done with Jaws 2 and you just can't get enough of us, you can roll right into Leprechaun, because it's a pretty quick episode at about 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was a short movie, so honestly, it was a short conversation. It was pretty simple as that, you know, nothing crazy, but yeah, we realized it was a shorter episode, and, you know, why not just release it this week? I don't know.
You recognize the irony of Leprechaun, and we just said short 4 times. Enjoy!
The luck of the Irish is being packed and shipped to a little town in South Dakota whose luck may have just run out.
Door, right? No! You gotta stop the bleeding. Look at it's in the cabinets.
Toward the basement.
We're like really scared. Hello? I need the police. This is an emergency.
You can kill anything.
What the hell are you?
You just gotta know how to do it.
Leprechaun.
It's out. It's out of the crate.
Leprechaun!
1993's Leprechaun. Everything about this movie is offensive to my Irish heritage.
It kind of is, actually.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. That's actually the part that I find the most endearing of this movie. I mean, the first guy who shows up and he's like, "Hey, where's me wife? I've lost me shamrock. Oh, this leprechaun's trying to kill me." I was dining out on that.
Because he stole his gold.
I knew nothing about the Leprechaun heritage, or not heritage, but the Leprechaun lore, so this was very enlightening for me. But yeah, alright, so Sinners, we're doing Leprechaun 1993, Jennifer Aniston's first movie, directed by Mark Jones. Mark Jones. A screenplay by Mark Jones as well. And, alright, Shannon, what on the scale of 1 to 10, where's your love for Leprechaun?
Okay, so I would have to do a little explaining, because I feel like people, before I get into my opinion, people definitely will look at it now, and I feel like even some videos that you watch now, when they look like the younger folk, if you will, they look back and they're definitely like, what the fuck is this movie? So,
and they would be right.
I mean, yes, but there is an explanation for that. But my opinion, so originally when I first saw this movie, you know, I was still at the age where I'm like walking down the block to the video store, renting all the horror movies. So that's when pretty sure that was my first experience watching it, like, just, you know, like with some friends or whatever, and we remember loving it. Like, it was just
it's a product of its time.
A product of its time. We accepted it for what it was. It was funny, and you know, just, you know, it was like kind of simple in a way, you know, like it's one setting, one little house, you know, if you will. There's a couple other scenes in other locations. I didn't realize how little people actually die in the film.
It was PG-13.
Yeah.
Which was shocking to me. I thought for sure that it was R.
And that's where it goes like a little back and forth. So that's where the whole what the fuck is this movie? So Mark Jones wrote this movie and wanted to direct it and go into it as a horror movie, right?
Yes.
they, Warwick Davis gets the role of the Leprechaun. He's from, if you don't remember him, he's from Willow. At the time, I think he was straight from the Star Wars films, playing Wicket as the Ewok.
Yep.
So he was already like impressive to certain people that wanted to make movies as far as little people go and things like that. So he did have a little bit of a repertoire, I think, at the time. So when he's honing in on the story and the character and trying to build his own like way of looking at it, he convinced Mark Jones to make it a little bit more funny. So he was kind of thinking more along the lines of like Gremlins,
Yeah, I could see that.
Because Gremlins, I mean, there's definitely some funny parts in Gremlins.
Gremlins, Critters.
Yeah, along those lines.
Okay.
But the Gremlins and the Critters were still a serious threat to society.
Okay.
So like it definitely still has a little horror base there. But he comes out and says his little, I'm a leprechaun. Can't you see my little gold buckle and my little shoes? Whatever. The whole like obsession with the shining of the shoes too. Nobody really gets. I don't know if I got that either. I don't know. I shrugged and moved on.
I gotta be honest. I'd never ever heard. Now I'm sure that it's based in something, but I never knew that leprechauns were supposed to be like cobblers and had a wicked shoe fetish.
In a way, I think it's a little bit more to it than that. But in a way, they were like. There's actually a lot of different theories about where leprechauns came from, but they never came from Irish folklore.
Get out, seriously?
I believe it was just folklore. Like, there's nothing from Ireland.
Okay.
To my knowledge, if you go back in, like, the history of it, there's nothing, like, Irish-related from a leprechaun.
Okay.
In a way.
Crazy.
Yeah. They just appeared as, like, like, more like little... I don't know about, like... Not gremlins, really, but just... there's definitely a couple different ways that they appeared. And I think it was like an 1800, like a late 1800s story where somebody first referred to a leprechaun. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think it was Irish at all.
That is hysterical. And now being 100% Irish, I can say this, sinners, it's true to form. The Irish borrow everything and never give it back. I can't wait for all the hateful comments.
I know. It's an Irish emblem now, but...
Alright, so before we get into the summary of the movie, and we start breaking it down, I will say my favorite thing about the movie is Warwick Davis.
Absolutely.
Love his performance. He's having so much fun with it.
Absolutely.
Actually, you know what? I thought that the performances across the board, everyone knew what kind of movie they were in, and it shows, and they did have fun with it. I'm not so much in the Leprechaun camp because I do feel like it is a product of its time. If you were at a particular age, just like Shannon said, if you're at a particular age and you catch this movie at just the right time, it's very endearing and you have very fond memories of it. It's almost like, it's funny that this movie and Hocus Pocus came out the same year.
Yeah, that's right.
And as I was watching this, because I hadn't seen this movie in decades, so I watched it again this week, and the first thing that hit me was there's a sense of fun to this and a sense of like playfulness that reminded me a lot of the Sanderson sisters and Hocus Pocus, and you could see that like these movies taking place in the same world. Also, like the Disney stuff, like or the Nickelodeon stuff. I'm not sure which one it is, like Halloween Town and stuff like that. It just felt like a little bit lower budget and a little bit lower production values, but it's an earnest attempt to capture something.
Right.
And it was fun. It was definitely fun. I still think the movie's hot garbage because it's not all that great.
Well, and like I said, and who knows if it would have been greater if they stuck with the comedic aspect, because once they were done, the studio was... like the slashers were picking up, and they were like, no, slashers and gore and horror is what's big right now. So they made them go back and do reshoots. Yeah, like the Pogo Stick was a reshoot. Mainly the police officer in the woods. Like
you can tell that whole thing is inserted into the movie.
Yeah, so so there's definitely some snippets of the movie that feel out of place, and that's because it is.
Yeah.
So it's literally out of place.
They were screaming, "We'll fix it in post."
Yes.
I'm just gonna give you. I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown because, like I said, being a product of its time, these are the horror films that were released in '93. So, Leprechaun as the unintentional launch of a franchise makes perfect sense in '93. You had Children of the Corn 2. Let's see, we got movies like Doll Man vs. Demonic Toys, Hocus Pocus, as I mentioned. But you've got Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday, Maniac Cop 3, like everything at this time. Puppet Master 4, Return of the Living Dead 3, Subspecies 2, like everything at this time is a continuation. It's a sequel to a sequel to a sequel, and I think the running theme for these movies are they're like cheap and easy to make, relatively so, and you can crank them out fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Leprechaun fell right into that, that wheelhouse. And then what did we get? We got 6 of them.
I'm pretty sure he went on. Warwick Davis went on to star in 5 more.
Okay.
And then there was, I guess it was a reboot. I haven't seen it yet, but there's another one.
Is it the Origins one?
The Origins, thank you. Yes, that came out in 2014, and I was trying to look up because I definitely heard of another one coming out, which may happen either, if not this year, maybe next year. There's not a whole lot information out there just yet.
Okay.
But I did read it on Bloody Disgusting that a reboot is happening.
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, it's right there. We dip back into the franchises every couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that, I don't know. It's a bit of a bummer now with the writer strike and the actor strike. Let's see what happens. But I'd love to see him try and take another crack at this.
I keep forgetting about that.
All right, I'm gonna shut my yapper. Let's get into the summary.
So the summary is pretty simple. So an evil, sadistic leprechaun goes on a killing rampage in search of his beloved pot of gold. That's pretty much it. It's simple, like introduce a guy who, in the very beginning, steals his, gold. The leprechaun's all pissed off. He goes after him. And then you get your first kill where he gets to the house, and he tells his wife, "Oh yeah, I got this gold from a leprechaun," and and she seems to be like, "Yeah."
She's like, that checks out.
She's like, okay, cool. I guess you should probably hide it somewhere safe. But he shows up like almost immediately, and he like pushes her down the stairs. So there you go, first kill. And then the guy, comes home and, realizes, he's been caught, but he's able to stop him with a 4-leaf clover. He holds him at bay, he gets him in a crate, and he locks him up and puts the singular clover on top of the crate, and he's trapped there. That's so interesting.
Doesn't nail it down, nor tape it down. Just leaves it on top of the crate.
Leaves it on the crate.
I gotta say, though, all right, the introduction of a 4-leaf clover as basically a crucifix for a vampire is my favorite damn thing about this movie. How he's like, no, not the 4-leaf clover. I mean, the entire time I was watching this movie, I was like, was General Mills like, we're sending a cease and desist in this goddamn movie? Because it's literally the Lucky Charms guy. Running around killing
literally. And there's a funny story with that too, which we'll get into in a minute. But because there is a whole big thing with that. But so he kills the wife. Fast forward, I don't even know, 20? No,
I think 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, 10
yes.
years.
Fast forward 10 years. Now the house has been abandoned. A father and I don't know if it's a single. I'm assuming it's a single father and his daughter. Daughter being 21 or 22-year-old Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
Tori goes in, and they're from, I'm assuming they're from Los Angeles, California, because she sounds that way.
Yes.
But, obviously it's a house in the middle of nowhere, so she's disgruntled,
I think they said it was North Dakota.
Oh, do they?
By way of Barstow, California. It's absolutely in the Californian highlands.
Oh, Lord almighty.
But that's okay. All right, so we're in North Dakota, and she's pissed
she's
got to move there.
But then she sees a cute guy that's in charge of painting their house, so whatever. So she's just like, I can handle this. But, as they're moving stuff around, obviously another part of the painter crew was a guy named Ozzy, that's played by Mark Holton. and he has his little friend. I believe that was Alex.
Yes.
Right? Robert High Gorman, I
Yep.
believe, was him. So they have this, like, funny little duo, and Ozzy basically goes to move something and accidentally flicks off the 4-leaf clover that's still intact after 10 years,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, a magical 4-leaf clover. By the way, Ozzy, I'm watching the movie, I'm like, where the hell do I know Ozzy from?
Oh, yeah.
The bad guy in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, yeah.
I was so happy.
So he knocks it over, and then boom, chaos ensues from there. Right, the leprechaun goes after everybody, little by little. It's pretty much just chaos ensues from there.
Yeah.
They do leave the house a little bit, I guess, to get a little bit of different scenery. Before this happens, I think, is it before or after they find? I think it's right before this they find the gold. Because that's all he wants. Literally, all he wants is 100 pieces of gold.
Ozzy chases the rainbow. After Ozzy tells our gang that there was a leprechaun, and they're like, all right, Ozzy, there was no leprechaun. He sees the rainbow, he chases the rainbow, finds the pot of gold.
Right.
Eats a damn piece, because he's doing the old, like, Miner 49er, like, no, let me bite into this, make sure it's real.
Because we have to do that in 1993.
Yeah, I didn't know that Ozzy was a jeweler. And, of course, he swallows it. Which, from a screenwriting perspective, is fantastic. Because now we know that the leprechaun is after all the gold,
right,
and one of them's in poor Ozzy's belly.
Right.
So, adds a little bit of stakes to this. Some of the research that I did for Leprechaun, which actually checks out, is that Mark Jones wanted to make this almost like a Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
So we really do have our gang.
In a way, yeah.
Because they fuck off the father in no time flat with that little kitty cat thing.
Yes.
So they get rid of the dad of the kitty cat thing. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, the leprechaun mimics a cat. The father sticks his hand, as one would do, into a dark, empty, tree trunk, to go rooting around, and gets bit by the leprechaun. They take him to the hospital, and then that is the way to get rid of the adult presence in the movie, because now we're left with Ozzy, Alex. Oh my gosh, what was Jennifer Aniston's Tori, and we have Nathan.
And Nathan, that's right.
So we've got our foursome, and now basically the entire plot of the movie is they've got to find the gold in order to get rid of the leprechaun, vanquish the leprechaun, and save the day. It is very much like a Scooby-Doo episode.
In a way, yeah.
Because that's it.
Yeah. Except the leprechaun was a real threat and not a guy.
True. Yeah,
wearing a mask.
There was no mask. Oh, can we talk about... Okay, so I already stated that I love Warwick Davis in this movie. I love Warwick Davis in general. Just shout out to Warwick Davis.
Absolutely.
Fell in love with him in Willow. And I don't know if you watched it, but they relaunched Willow on Disney Plus last year. And he was so fantastic. You love or hate the series. He was so good in it, and it was just so great to see him in a starring role. So I've got a lot of love for Warwick, but let me tell you something. Those sons of bitches, putting him in those 3-inch boots, and seeing him try and make it down the stairs in those damn things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's dedication, but I was worried the whole time that he was going to break his leg.
Yeah. Well, he had to walk a little bow-legged, I think, right, to make it work?
I mean, look, that's a dedicated actor, because he made it work, but I felt the pain for him.
Yes, absolutely. And his makeup was really good, too. That was by Gabriel, I might be saying this wrong, so I apologize, Bartalos?
I think Bartalos.
Bartalos. Gabriel, yeah.
Gabriel, if you're listening and we screwed it up, sorry.
Sorry. I'm really sorry.
But you did great. You did great. The masks were fantastic.
And he pretty much kept that image, I believe, throughout the entire series. I haven't seen every single sequel, per se. I've heard they get worse and worse.
They do. I watched Leprechaun in the Hood, and it's just
that's like the favorite one for some reason.
We get in the Hood with a lot of the franchises, and then we get in Space with a lot of the franchises. Leprechaun, no different.
Okay.
We got them both. True. But sorry, I'm taking us off track. So
no, that's
we've got Ozzy swallows the gold piece. We get rid of the dad. Now we're looking for the pot of gold. You'd mentioned we're inserting some kills here because they did want to up the gore factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought they were effective for what they had to work with.
Well, the favorite one is actually the next kill, which is the porn star.
Oh yes,
not porn star. No, not star. I'm sorry. So I literally said that all wrong. Let's try it again.
We're gonna fix it in post.
The pawn store owner.
Yes,
because Ozzy and oh my god,
Alex?
And Alex. Thank you. I was gonna say Mark, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. Ozzy and Alex go and bring the gold piece to the pawn store, and just try to find how much it's worth. The guy agrees to keep it overnight to do a little bit more research, but he's like, oh, this is exciting. It seems legit. So obviously now he has a piece, and so now he becomes a victim number 2 for.
He's got to go.
Yep, gotta go. And this is the favorite one because this is the one, he gets terrorized a little bit here and there, gets knocked down, and then all of a sudden there's like a pogo stick somewhere in the store, and he just, beep, 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 and then, jumps right on his gut and chest and just pogos him to death, basically. And it looks like it's like a big stabby tool.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, I don't know, like, was this pogo stick for plants? Like, what was it for?
Maybe.
Either that or maybe, like, the piece, like, the actual piece that's on a bottom of a pogo stick maybe was just ripped off.
Man,
I mean, it could be any couple different ways.
Are you going to seriously make me go back and watch this movie now? 'Cause now I'm going to have to find out. Is it, like, a garden tool?
All of our sinners can. Sinners, you can go back and watch it. It's definitely streaming somewhere. And you tell me, was it just a knife placed on there? Or maybe, like I said, maybe just the rubber piece? Because enough force, I think, on anything thin like that
will go through.
Bouncing down. Yes. Yeah. Bouncing down, especially like on a gut area. That probably is a plausible kill.
Now we really do have...
Assuming leprechauns are real.
Well, I mean... I was going to say my heritage demands it.
We need to know.
This basically lays out the groundwork for all of the Leprechaun movies, though. It's an inventive kill followed with many quips preceding it, and then many quips post-kill. And it's, look, it is what it is. These are the kind of movies that you kind of have on if you're having a party, you have it on the background. It's just light, and you don't take it too seriously. And this movie certainly doesn't take it all that seriously.
Nope.
So it just it chugs along. At this point, am I right or am I wrong? At this point, the Leprechaun also gets hold of the go-kart.
And there's like a little almost like a little mini like a little mini car, almost like a child's car.
And this
in a way, and somehow he's going super fast. I don't know. Like, he shows like signs of having magical powers throughout the movie, and again, this is the part that's just like you don't know what his limitations are. Yeah. Because there's times where it's just like, oh well, I feel like he easily could have got out of that situation if he just did what he did before, but then he doesn't. So it's like the why. I mean, again, it's not meant for you to go too deep into.
I think.
Because the more people do, the madder you get at this movie.
If I'm not mistaken... Oh, yeah, Jesus. Please don't dive deep
Yeah,
into
in a way, it's actually... It's not meant for you to pick it apart. But here we are picking it apart.
I'm going to have to... God damn it, I'm going to have to rewatch this movie. I'm fairly certain that the more gold the Leprechaun has, the stronger his powers are.
Actually...
I think that's it.
That's actually pretty plausible. You know what? I'll go...
Look, I'm like a broken clock. I'm right twice a day.
You know what? That's really good. That's actually I'll go with that one.
I think he states it because when he's trying to when Ozzy finds him and he busts out of his crate, and then he wants to kill Ozzy.
He mentions that actually. You're lucky my powers are weak.
Yeah. I think it's related to the gold.
Okay. So that makes got it. Okay.
So at this point, we've killed the pawn. Oh, that's a hard one, man.
Right? See?
The 2003 pawn shop owner. He is dead now, and now our Leprechaun has his wheels, and he takes off,
and he gets pulled over.
Sure enough, he gets pulled over
for speeding.
Yep. as one would do. You know.
So this is definitely another insert here. So this, because I think it was just meant to be like, so the police officer goes up to him, starts his typical thing because it's normal to pull over a leprechaun. And or he didn't believe him, right?
If they didn't insert this scene, though, this movie would have been about an hour and 13 minutes long.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's a quick watch.
That is true. It really is. Again, and that's probably another reason why I don't mind it, because it's short and to the point.
It is. It is. It's
for the most part.
pace.
Again, there's definitely some scenes that you're just like, raises an eyebrow, but this scene, so he, he scratches his face, and then, he does his little laugh and runs into the forest. And then terrorizes the police officer a bit more by appearing over there, appearing over here. He's like all of a sudden in the woods, and he's surrounded by it.
It's very playful in his kills. Very playful, this leprechaun.
Yes, he is. And then, and then all of a sudden he just like, basically just like sails down from the tree and just jumps on his shoulders and boom, breaks his neck. And then that's the end of the police officer. So that's kill number 3. Now, this is the part that I know everybody else is kind of like, what? So, fast forward a little bit more. Now, they discover the, which I don't think I ever said his name, the original character in the beginning, he's just known as O'Grady.
Yes.
So, O'Grady is the one that took the gold in the first place, lost his wife immediately. O'Grady's the one that locked him in the crate. So they... I don't even remember, a series of investigations, like who owned the house prior. They assumed it was this guy O'Grady.
The craziest thing is Ozzy, who is like, everyone is like, oh, he's like the town dimwit. Ozzy's got all the facts. He's the one who's like, it's old man O'Grady.
Yeah. Yeah, so they find out he's alive and at a nearby, the nursing home?
Yeah, like a nursing home.
Yeah. So, so naturally Tori just goes there.
Yes.
just to see him. Hi, I know you don't know me, but... And then it turns out that O'Grady is already not in the room, and who is there but the leprechaun, dressed as O'Grady, turns around, and then ensue a chase scene with a wheelchair. So this was done, I think, like... he was sped up, or like the scene itself was slowed down to make him look faster. So you can tell like the speed is not right.
My research said that Warwick Davis was having a lot of pain with his legs.
Oh, okay.
At that time, so they constructed the scene so he could be in a wheelchair.
Okay.
But Warwick also found the wheelchair really difficult to maneuver.
Well, yeah, especially during a chase scene. Like, think how fast.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like when they deliver the final scene, like how fast it goes. Like, it's effective. Like, because now this guy's like chasing you really quickly,
right?
Which is terrifying. But if you're just going down, if you've ever tried to operate a wheelchair, it's actually, I don't know. I don't think it's that easy.
So they had Jennifer Aniston run at half speed. And then Warwick manipulated the wheelchair as best he could, and then they sped it up.
Yeah.
Camera tricks, everybody, the magic of movies.
Gotta love it. So Tori runs away from the leprechaun, just makes it just in time into an elevator, as you do, because it has to be always timed correctly, and it's just never, just not last minute. So she gets in the elevator. It has her moments of hiding out until she gets to whatever floor. I don't even know where she was going. But then O'Grady, old man O'Grady, he just pops through.
Yeah.
Just pops through the ceiling. And he's all bloody. And how he got there?
He got leprechaun.
What happened? How? But all of a sudden, like his weight just. Just broke through the elevator.
The best.
And he's just hanging there upside down, like, oh, you gotta kill him with a four-leaf clear. Yeah. And then he dies.
He's like, I've been waiting 10 years.
I've been waiting 10
years for someone to come by.
For someone to listen to me. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if it was meant to use you have to use your imagination to figure out how he got on top of the elevator.
I just when I was watching, I was like, oh, leprechaun.
But how he actually died, it's I can only take it from Lost Boys, death by elevator. I have no idea. Nobody knows. He's bloody, sure. But
that's another one we're gonna have to do the Lost Boys.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So Yeah, and that's, you know, so then, and so now fast forward, after that's the fourth kill, and that's technically the fourth and final kill of the movie.
Yeah.
So that's what's interesting about it too. Short film, only 4 kills in total, right?
They get more plentiful as the series goes on, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I could tell this was, you know, 1 foot in a horror comedy and 1 foot in a horror, and they really, you know, you get like a 50-50.
You do, absolutely. But it's, again, amazing what it spawned after that, despite everyone being very confused, and despite its flaws. So now fast forward, she now knows how to kill the leprechaun. Now that she has the 4-leaf clover idea, she sees one patch of clovers. She can't find one. They're freaking out, going back and forth, and Ozzy tells her, "You gotta believe." Again, another Lost Boys reference. Oh, we can't wait to do that one.
Is Ozzy the main character of this movie?
I think
He's
so.
certainly the most interesting.
Yeah,
certainly the most.
He
interesting.
absolutely is. Absolutely. And it's such a wholesome little friendship he has too with Mark, right? Because Mark just wants to take the gold. Remember, he wants to take the gold, and he wants to bring him to a hospital to get his brain fixed.
I know.
I'm like, oh. So very cute little innuendo there, but that's as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Other than their clear friendship, that's as far as that goes.
Spoiler alert: he doesn't get his brain fixed.
But he gets to keep the gold, technically.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. So, at least I think so. Unless he flushes it down. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. So, Tori finds the 4-leaf clover, hands it to Mark somehow, I guess. And Mark is Mark's a little kid. He has
Alex.
Oh, why do I keep calling him Mark? 4-letter.
That little kid didn't direct the movie.
Yeah. Definitely not. Sorry. Alex, my apologies. He he's a boy, has a slingshot, as every boy did, because of The Simpsons, maybe? I don't know. Bart Simpson.
It is very Bart Simpson.
So that was.
Oh wait, you know what we've established at this point? You can't kill the leprechaun.
Right.
At this point he has been bludgeoned, beaten, shot, and you just can't kill a leprechaun. So it's very vampiric.
Yeah,
by the way.
Absolutely. And another type of lore character for sure. He's a magical creature, so you got to kill him in more of a mystical, magical way. Yeah. So, as far as the story, or this story technically goes, I think it makes sense. I think that was a fine way to write it out. I didn't have a problem with it.
Made sense to me.
So Alex gets the 4-leaf clover, bundles it up, gets a little spitball action in it, does and has his moment where he goes, "Fuck you, Lucky Charms," and shoots it right down the leprechaun's throat. Now, there's 2 things I want to talk about with this scene. 2 things. So, one, I'm going to go now backtrack, because we talked about, General Mills and the whole Lucky Charms cereal, which is delicious, by the way.
It really is.
Haven't had it in a couple years, but I remember loving it as a kid.
Haven't had it since Tuesday.
Neither here nor there. So, that was just a little bit, it's possible that "Fuck you, Lucky Charms" could have been written in there anyway, but it was definitely, or at least everybody thinks anyway, a quick, a little, middle finger to General Mills, because General Mills was supposed to feature Lucky Charms in this movie. Now, because there's a scene where the leprechaun is rummaging through the cabinets at some points. He comes across a box of cereal, and it was called like Lucky Clover or something like that.
It was supposed to be Lucky Charms?
So you look at the box, it's clearly the same exact, they drew their own leprechaun with their own, but it was still the red box, and, it definitely resembled the Lucky Charms cereal. I think back in the day, I was just like, they probably just couldn't use it, copyrights or whatever, which is true. But they absolutely were supposed to have it. But once General Mills learned the nature of the movie and how it was going to be presented, because he eats the cereal and he spits it out, disgusting, because it's a leprechaun, he's not a human. Kids love it, we love it. so whatever. General Mills kind of missed the ball a little bit on that one. So they first agreed to that, and then they retracted that idea.
I heard there was a lot of retractions from a lot of product placement for this film.
Oh.
People were like, yeah, we're into it. And then they kind of found out what the movie was about, and they were like, not a friggin' chance.
I don't think I heard about any more than the General Mills one, but I knew that was obviously the main one. So them again with the line at the end of the movie, I think was just their quick little like middle finger to it. I don't know if General Mills regrets this decision.
Yeah, I think they're okay.
I think they're doing just fine. But I mean, who knows?
General Mills is like lepra who?
Yeah, exactly. Leprosy? No, thank you. But just before I'm sorry, we go to you. Just another thing too that I found a little interesting. Sorry, a sip of water there. Hydration, everybody. So now, like after he gets hit with the 4-leaf clover, it goes down his throat. He starts like lighting up in weird ways, whatever. But then he gets that scene. If you remember him like starting to melt.
Yeah, I like it.
And he starts talking in the
I like the practical effects. It was
Doesn't
really
that
good.
remind you of Spike's death in Gremlins?
Yes. Not only does it remind me of Spike's death in Gremlins, it actually, I mean, just like the vocal, but the melting, everything kind of looks similar.
Yeah, very, very similar.
I didn't even put that together.
To me, now I don't know if that was really on purpose, because again, that was when Warwick Davis got the part. Again, like I said in the beginning, he we wanted to kind of go in that direction a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because it worked. Gremlins is a fantastic movie. We will cover that too.
Oh. 1 and 2.
Absolutely. Oh, we can't not talk about 2. But we'll get there. But to me, it definitely, when I rewatched this film recently, I was like, oh, that's a little ode. Maybe that's a little ode to Spike's death in Gremlins.
Could be.
So, because it looks so similar. And I also thought too, like a little nod, maybe again, because when they went back in for the reshoots, let's gear towards more horror movies. Do you remember like the when Tori answers the phone and like his little hand reaches through the phone?
Yeah.
That reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, that was very Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. So just wanted to say that. So before.
So that's it. We vanquished the Leprechaun. I mean, I like the scene where his like skeleton-ish kind of comes out of the well, and then Nathan comes and kicks him back down in the well, and then you kind of have the voice, the voiceover at the end, like I'm always going to look for my gold, So
he's still not dead.
Yeah, they set it up very much for a sequel, and boy oh boy, sequels they would get. You know?
Like I said, it went on to do a lot more. And here's the thing. So it actually did pretty well. But this was Trimark Pictures' first film that they made and produced.
Okay.
The very first one, which obviously I think they've gone bankrupt within the past couple years, right? Now
yeah.
What are they now? They're
I think they got bought by Lionsgate, didn't they?
Lionsgate. Thank you. I'm like, it's something with the devil. It's not Leprechaun. And I'm like, it's there, But apparently it made $9 million in the box office.
And it costs less than $1 million to make.
Yeah, exactly. So it definitely got afterwards, despite like the bad reviews, and even afterwards, because especially with Friends came out and Jennifer Aniston got her big break, everyone goes, wait, she was in like this horror movie. So then they re-released the I'm sorry, not re-released, when they released the like the VHS, the DVDs at home to watch part of the movie, they changed the poster.
Yeah.
So you remember, so now like when you look at it a lot of times, it's like a for some reason a green image of Jennifer Aniston. And it's clearly from Friends.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look like her in the movie at all. But
got the Rachel.
Yeah, she still has like that haircut or whatever, but like looking to the side, like And then the Leprechaun original, it was just like which I really loved this poster. It's just completely dark, a sliver of light, like a doorway opening, and the Leprechaun poking in, like waving.
It's a good poster.
They shrinky-dinked it down and just put it to the side,
Yeah, like,
and then that's the released footage. So. because of Jennifer Aniston being in it, I think they made another $15 million in VHS sales.
Oh,
isn't that crazy?
I mean, that was smart.
The numbers though, it makes sense. So like, let's make another one, and and Warwick Davis had so much fun with it. He still goes to conventions, and he will absolutely do like voiceovers for when he does like a little panel.
You gotta love this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just a person who just says, he doesn't forget where he came from, which is always admirable, and he just had fun with it. Like, despite whatever you think of any of these movies, especially the original one,
you gotta respect it.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite things to do is whatever actor you really admire, go back and take a look at their earlier work. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they're in a low-budget horror film.
Mm-hmm. Usually, yeah.
And for the most part, they tend to be nostalgic about it, and know they know what it was at the time, but they also appreciate what it did for their careers. I mean, it was work. It was work when they couldn't get work. Jennifer Aniston feels the same way. There certainly were times where I'm sure that she didn't really want to talk about Leprechaun, but at this point in time, she has a fondness for it, and I find that pretty endearing. I like that.
So I've actually heard otherwise.
Uh-oh.
I know, right?
Snap.
Scandal. So I don't know how long ago it was, but I'm sorry. I wish because it was like a quick snippet, and I laughed and then moved on. But as I'm like watching, Warwick Davis and like certain interviews with him or whatever, I found so he was like on a British game show, and I don't remember the name of the game show. I'm sorry. But it looked like it was like a just celebrity, almost like a Family Feud in a way, kind of esque looking type of situation. So they had, and the host mentions we have Warwick Davis, and he's just like he mentions we know him from Leprechaun, and he's just like, what do you guys think, and you worked with Jennifer Aniston on that film, like, are you guys still friends? Are you still, are you, whatever, like what was going on? And Warwick Davis actually made a point to say on that show that she doesn't, like, he's like, she pretends like it doesn't exist.
Oh, no.
Yes. But I never heard, I never heard that from either or. Like that's the only spot I ever heard that. And I never heard her really talk about it, but I also don't know too much about Jennifer Aniston personally. So to be fair, that, it could be either one. She definitely got a career, amazing career since then. And that's fine. There's actually a lot of movies that she's in over the years that I do enjoy. So, it's not hating on her at all. But,
sounds like I might have read some publicist bullshit.
Right? but
we don't know.
But to poke fun at that when they were like, oh my gosh, like she doesn't, recognize Leprechaun. So they're like, well, we're just going to have a little fun right now. So they show this scene in this clip of the scene where the chase scene with him on the
no.
So and then they put the Friends theme song over it. It's a completely different scene when you hear it.
I'll have to look this up.
It's hilarious. I'm sure you can find like Warwick Davis game show, British game show or something along those lines. Like it's because like I said, it was like one of those, like it was like a loop, like when you're watching, like you're on a YouTube loop, one bleeds into another, and I just like, oh, what's this about? And I just pressed play, and then I had a good laugh. And again, it's a quick, like 2-minute clip of this game show. So, but again, whether that's plausible or not, I mean, who knows when was the last time Warwick Davis spoke to Jennifer Aniston? I have no idea. But apparently there's both out there. Whether or not I've never heard her talk about it. But
you know what? You know what I want to talk about for just a second.
Sure.
Because Leprechaun being what Leprechaun is, it's kind of light fare. It's fun, it's light, but you can't really dive too deep into it. But what I did want to talk about, being that it's 30 years old, we talked about what the horror industry was like in 93.
Right.
So we had a lot of sequelitis. We were getting to parts 3, 4s, and 5s in a lot of our major franchises. There wasn't a lot of original content coming out. Sinners, this is a bell we're going to ring endlessly on this podcast. Of course, what was a landmark horror movie in 93 was Guillermo del Toro's Cronos. So if you're looking for something original and a new take on the vampire myth, definitely seek out Cronos. It is fantastic. But So we've got that. You had The Dark Half. George Romero directed Stephen King's The Dark Half that year with Timothy Hutton. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's I like the book very much. It's an okay adaptation, but from a pretty weak year for horror, that's one of the standouts. So that kind of illustrates where we were at in 93. Okay.
Pretty much.
So take where we're at in 93. Not a lot of original content, not a lot of original voices at that moment. Now go 30 years later. It's interesting to point out that our low budget horror in 2003 is it's light years ahead of where we were in 93 as far as the ability for fast, cheap, interesting movies to be made. Usually they're on streaming, but some are getting theatrical releases. A24 comes to mind with a lot of the stuff that they put out in their horror vein. Stuff like Hereditary from a couple of years ago. We're just about to get Talk to Me is coming out. An
I'm
Australian.
really excited about that.
Oh my god, I'm vibrating. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just had Cobweb was released on Friday. We had The Boogeyman from Rob Savage of Host fame and Dashcam. So it's just. I'm sure there weren't a lack of screenwriters and directors in 93. It's just I don't think that the industry was willing to give them any sort of capital to put their vision on screen.
Right. They
just plugged them into, hey, look, we got this existing IP. Would you like to make Subspecies 5? Or would you like to make, Psycho 4? And they probably were happy to get the work and have a crack at it. But where we are now with horror 30 years down the road, I think is so much more interesting.
Very much so.
We're at a moment, I hope it lasts a long time, where there are original voices that are being given the money to make their movies. They're given, the leeway. There doesn't seem to be a lot of studio interference. And we're getting a lot of really great content, and I'm very, very excited about it. So I just wanted to point out where we were 30 years ago to where we are today. Again, from an international perspective, I don't think you really can't argue that there's incredible films being released overseas, which we're very lucky to be able to see at festivals or, the multiple streamers that we have. So I just wanted to point out we're really, really lucky at this point in time because we're kind of, we're getting a plethora, if you will, of content. Endless. And a lot of it's good.
It's endless, yeah, it really is. And it's like there's something for everyone, right? Like you can have like the ones a little more darker and scarier or have like depth to it.
Yeah.
And will like get into your soul. And then there's ones that just kind of like stay on the surface where it's fun movies like this one. Like just like Leprechaun, to me, I think they just went in to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And for the most part they did. Again, is it a perfect movie? No, of course not. But you can't ignore the success that it brought.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a Blumhouse model.
Yeah.
It's a prototype Blumhouse model, which was actually, that was the model for so many horror movies back in the early 90s. Make them cheap, make them fast, get them on. I mean, the benefit that these movies had was these were all released theatrically. We were just at the beginning. I think 94, 95, you started to see direct-to-video releases.
A lot of them, yeah.
But these movies, 93 and pre-93, they got theatrical releases. So if you're a filmmaker who really hasn't done anything or a screenwriter, and you get released on 600, 700 screens, I mean, that's incredible. That's
absolutely. That's an accomplishment in itself. I mean, that's the whole point of making the movie, no matter how big or small.
All of these movies, though, that we're talking about, the success of them, they caught a moment in time. Leprechaun definitely caught its moment in time and had its run, and I think the run still might continue today.
That's what I mean. It's still going on. It
right?
still has its stamp in the horror industry, and that's impressive. You can't deny that.
I think a lot can be said for movies that call back to a time when we're younger, and we kind of painted in that nostalgic glow, whether they're good or bad. We painted that nostalgic glow, and we have fun with it, and it's like comforting. You know? It's
exactly.
comfort food for us.
Absolutely.
So
it's our own little bowl of Lucky Charms, if you will.
So Leprechaun, even though I think you are a horrible piece of garbage, I do love you. You have a place in our heart. You've set the Irish cause back millennia. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Please, sinners out there, if at all possible, make more fun of the Irish. We deserve it. Please. But I think we celebrate Leprechaun's 30th birthday. Happy birthday, Leprechaun, and looking forward to many happy returns.
Yeah, why not? I've seen worse.
Oh my God! We've definitely seen worse.
Absolutely.
I've seen worse this week.
Yeah.
But you, Leprechaun, we take our wee little hat off to you. Now let's talk about what we're going to get into next week, Sinners. So next week we're going to be doing Return of the Living Dead. Definitely in my top 5.
I love this movie. I'm really, really excited about this one.
In my top 5. We're going to break it down. We'll discuss, we'll touch on the sequels, but we're really going to do a deep dive into Return of the Living Dead and its lasting effect, not only as a horror movie in that genre, but also in the zombie canon.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Until then, eat your Lucky Charms. Look for your 4-leaf clover.
And watch out for that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
You might piss off a leprechaun.
Shannon, anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, I think that was it.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week, sinners. Take care.
That's a cut.